Hello everybody. Cole Nelson here with another Manichaeism video, and today it's kind of a history video, I'd say. It's sort of a video where I talk about the development of the Neo-Manichaean Church, the Ecclesia of Light, where it comes from, how it's gotten started, and my role in it. I'm going to show you a few web pages and that help get things started. This is my actual website, columnofglory.com. I made this a couple years ago, and was kind of the start of the whole thing that helped to pique the interest of some of the people who have helped in establishing the Ecclesia of Light. And as you can see, this is my website, the Column of Glory. The Column of Glory, which is the Milky Way. Manichaeans used astrology, I would say, astronomy, constellations, etc. They used them in their teaching. For instance, the sun and the moon were equated to ships, which transport the light to the new aeon, and the column of glory, the Milky Way, was like the path along which the light traveled. So it had a significance in Manichaean teaching. So as you can see, I made this website a few years ago and said Column of Glory is a ministry dedicated to providing a witness to the teachings of Marmani, an apostle of Jesus Christ, and of the faith he founded, commonly known as Manichaeism, but more accurately called the Religion of Light. And one cool thing is I had this little live tracker which showed where my visitors came from. It only shows the last 10. But, I've had some people from some interesting places. You can see here I had a visitor from the UK, from Droitwich. I've had people from all over the US. I had a person here from Hainan, China. So I reached quite a few people with this page, and one of the people I reached would ultimately be a man by the name of Ryan Appleyard, who lives in Norway, who was very pivotal in developing the larger website, the Ecclesia of Light website. I'm not actually very tech literate, and this web page I have here, I paid someone. I had someone close to me assisted me in making this web page, and it's very basic. I had a biography of Manny. I had some tabs about some of the core teachings, when the festival of Bema was, and pivotally I have an About Us section, which I'm going to go to right now. This will help explain what the goal was when I started this whole thing. And so we got here, my name is Cole Nelson. I was inspired to create this website about the teachings of the prophet Mani because I have done violence to the suffering Jesus patabilis. I have seen Jesus in the afflicted, echoing Matthew 25:40, whatever you do to the least of these, you do also to me. I have heard him cry out in creation, Romans 8:22, which references where Paul says, the whole world groans in travail, waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God. That is, the world is suffering. The light in the world is suffering, and it's waiting for the elect to liberate it. And despite this, in my dealings and relationships, I have often contributed to, rather than lessened, this suffering. When I have let down myself or loved ones, when I have betrayed friends, when I have been indifferent towards the poor, when I have made girls cry, and when I have eaten meat or used products for which animals suffered and died, when I have done these things, I have participated in the crucifixion of Christ, who is here suspended everywhere upon what Manny called the cross of light, that is the material world. This is, of course, the key pivotal idea behind Manichaeism, that the light is mixed in matter, and it's suffering here, and we need to be cognizant of our interaction with light in the material world, because we don't want to contribute to this suffering, but rather want to contribute to its liberation. Through the influence of the demon Oz, the personification of lust, pride, and avarice, The Spirit who is at work in our sinful flesh, echoing Ephesians 2:2, I have continually participated in this ongoing crucifixion. However, there has always been a part of me that has been greatly sensitive toward the evil I commit, even when it is evil that others take for granted as just part of life, such as the ending of relationships, the eating of meat, or the removal of household pests. Participation in such evil has never to me really seemed like quote, just part of life. On the contrary, it has always seemed unnatural or, quote, tragic. These, like all evils, are evils which a part of me, my higher, true, or, quote, light self, doesn't want to participate in. Such evil, no matter how mundane, is, how common, is and always will be unnatural to this higher or idealized self, no matter how easily it comes to my sinful flesh. I hope that's a feeling you share. There's a lot of horror in everyday life. Even like just killing animals for food, or just even like a gecko or some sort of or mouse in your house. This is, unnatural. It's horrible that we have to do violence to living things that happens every day, or hurting other people's feelings. These things should not be. This higher idealized self, this, quote, light self, is, as Manny teaches, the good tree spoken of by Jesus in Matthew 7:17 through 18. This higher self is therefore incapable of evil. It is unnatural to it, which is why part of me, part of us, is always repulsed by evil. There exists, however, also, alongside this higher light self, oppressive darkness, the evil/bad tree also spoken of by Jesus, which is capable of only evil. This is the demon Oz, whose children we are according to the flesh. That's echoing John 8:44, where Jesus says, you are of your father the devil, speaking of the Pharisees, and it is therefore the works of the devil which ye seek to do, right? So according to our flesh, the sinful nature of us, we are children of the devil and only have evil desires. It's rather our spiritual higher light self that has good desires, and these things are in conflict. So he, that is the demon Oz, our father according to the flesh, exercises a dominion in us which causes us to do evil and makes us feel conflicted, as St. Paul did when he perceived within his body a law, force, or habit which warred against the law of his mind and caused him to do evils which he at the same time did not wish to do. That's referencing Romans 7:14-25. What hope do I or any of us have then? The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Matthew 26:41. And when faced with the oppressive force that wars against our spirits, we find ourselves unable to do the good that we would wish to do. Galatians 5:17. First we must perceive the reality of the suffering Jesus, that there is a higher reality, divine goodness that is everywhere here below, mixed into the fabric of the material world. Now here I quote Acts 17:48, which is, in him we live and move and have our being. Now technically the Manichaeans do not accept the book of Acts at all. That was a book that was not accepted. But like all scripture, when there is a truth in something, all truth is God's truth, and we can use it. So I found that passage spoke truly. In him we live and move and have our being. So there's divine goodness that is everywhere here mixed below into the fabric of the material world, such that there is good which we afflict in our everyday experience of life. And second, we must perceive the truth that we are divided, that there is a conflict within us, a divided self, and that because of this we are not fully in control of our own actions. When it is granted to us to perceive these things, John 3:27, we can, all knowledge, you cannot receive a single thing unless it is given to you from above. We can say that we have attained to gnosis/knowledge. that we are no longer asleep but awake. We have become hearers, right? Knowledge of the divine itself, the dualism of reality and of the individual. That is the gnosis that Manny and Jesus is trying to proclaim and teach us. That is the key doctrine of salvation. To understand that we are not our flesh, okay? And that we are not the works that the flesh has us do, but rather we are the light self that desires the good, the true self, the spiritual self, and that these things are in conflict, and we are to identify with our spirits. That is the gnosis that will help us attain liberation. Being awakened to the true condition of the cosmos and of ourselves, we are able to attend to the words of a physician who can cure us. We can look to someone who is able to cut away the darkness that encumbers us, so that we can, at last, be our true selves, free from inner conflict, free from hurtful behavior, free from guilt, free from suffering, and in all ways set free. Both Mani and Jesus were known for their miraculous healings. Mani was known by some as the physician from Babel. But more important than the spiritual healings that they could accomplish, more important than the physical healings that they could accomplish, was the message of awakening and the program for spiritual healing / liberation, which these messengers, these physicians from God, the Father of greatness, prescribed. And here, we have in mind especially, things like, the Beatitudes, like Christ on the Sermon on the Mount, and like the commandments for the elect and the hearers, and especially the 3 seals, the way of life, right, that Mani and Jesus prescribed to help oneself be conformed to, to be renewed and conformed to the image of the new man, and to put off the old man, to fully realize oneself as a spiritual being. This program is key so that we can more and more gather the light within ourselves and divest ourselves of spiritual darkness. Of physical darkness. Manny and Jesus were the ones that showed us the way. This website then is all about waking people up. It's my attempt to reach the sleepers, right, so that they may become hearers like me. And then it is about introducing them to the program prescribed by Jesus and Mani, so that they may be placed upon the narrow way, the path, the column of glory, right, that leads to the kingdom of light, so that they may one day become not only hearers, but doers of the law, right? That is, they may even become elect, people who avoid transgressing the cross of light. People who will the material world upon which we're crucified, that's the cross of light. People who will ultimately become enthroned amongst the number of the elect. People who will assist in the bigger project of reviving the religion of light as an institution. And people who will at length receive their garland, their reward, their crown, right, at the end of their earthly pilgrimage. So that was that was part of my inspiration here for founding, trying to revive Manichaeism and reach out to people. That, I think, is core parts, right? And you can see, I was from a very strongly Christian background, and you can see how I've utilized the Christian scriptures here over and over in support of Manichaean doctrines, especially the dualism of the divided self and the cosmos. My website just, other than that, has, biography of Manny, core doctrine stuff. It's kind of outlived to send. I still keep it up, but it's kind of, it has the dates for Bema. It's kind of outlived to an extent its usefulness, because we've grown beyond just me, right? This website helped me reach people like Ryan Appleyard, who was pivotal in the growth and outreach of the church, and the creation of the larger website. He had more actual website skills. Like I said, it was very hard for me to update this, because I would always have to pay or have someone help me. I'm not tech savvy. I also had We also have this Facebook group, which everyone's current group. We have 402 members now. When I joined it, you see, I didn't find this group. There was a fellow by the name of Gavin, who I'm sorry to say I believe is now deceased. He had asked me to keep this website going. Adam and I, as you can see, are the admins of this website. But it was founded by a fellow by the name of Gavin. I think I'm a little more active than Adam these days, but Adam and I are the admins. And David Hyatt Bickle, I hope he's okay that I shared this, is a moderator. He does a lot of work uploading Manichaean scriptures to YouTube on his account, and he reads those scriptures, and that's a great work here. But yeah, we've grown to 402 members, and this helps us, we share our videos, outreach. This has helped us also get out the word of Manichaeism. So if you would like to join this website and look to learn more or to discuss, you are welcome to come join this Facebook group. And then from there, of course, we have the Ecclesia of Light. I do not manage this page. Again, I'm not tech savvy. Rather, this was originally managed and set up by Ryan Appleyard, who I'm sorry to say is suffering from a protracted illness and is no longer able to do much with the church. But it's now managed more by Oscar Mansano, who's more tech savvy than me, and who also is playing a key role in codifying Manichaean writings for the church. He was pivotal in working on this work that the church created called the Compendium, which is just a one-volume collection of Manichaean scriptures, which you can order off Lulu on a website. And then Oscar and I worked on a catechism for the church. We have a catechism here, if you want to understand our beliefs. Very simple catechism. And then we also worked on a creed, basic creed. And we're gonna work on a liturgy next for Sundays and Mondays, the Manichaean days of worship. We're gonna incorporate at least this part of the creed, if not the whole thing, into the liturgy, which we're going to establish. We're going to work with an Episcopalian who has some experience with liturgy. We're going to try to create a coherent new liturgy that's going to be faithful to the practice of the Manichaean Church and the ritual meal. And yeah, so that's kind of where the church stands. We are creating QR codes. We're going to have a QR code that's going to link people to the catechism. We're going to try to get out there and proselytize and evangelize. We have not yet any real people who are necessarily elect. We have established rules for the elect, which are not quite as harsh as the original. Our justification, of course, is that Manny himself said that each generation would become weaker as the light has left the world. So we believe that a somewhat mitigated discipline for the elect will still suffice for allowing the retrieval of portions of light. But we still haven't, it's still going to be a harder life, a hard discipline, and we have not yet have anyone who is necessarily formally elect. We're going to ascribe roles as we grow. I will probably become an elect, maybe a presbyter, but then for offices of bishop, etc., we're going to have even more limited lifestyle. We'll see, but we're going to work on the liturgy and then proselytization, and then we're going to try to establish the hierarchy. So that's where we're at in the in the work we've done for the development of the modern NeoManichaean church. You can see we've got the videos. Yeah, okay. Well, I hope that this has been a good little video for you. Show you some resources. You can follow us on YouTube. You know, my website, the Manichaean, my page, the Manichaean Education Channel, which, you know, if you're watching this, you're familiar with, or the Ecclesia of Light, where you have Oscar, who reads from our catechism and talks about the compendium. Yeah. So be well, friends. May the Father of Greatness, Jesus the Luminous, and the Holy, the Living Spirit bless you. Be well.